So if you remember what tab it is, you
Hi, everyone. It's such an honor to be back with you and to be part of the Inner City Law Center family. Just a couple of weeks ago, I actually had a chance to play that very same piece of music by Bach live in the Inner City Law Center parking lot. I was playing with a few other colleagues of mine while the Department of Health Services issued the first and then second dose of vaccines to the Skid Row community. And it was such an honor to be listened to and to play for the Skid Row community once again. I've been thinking a lot recently about the metaphor of the Japanese craft of kintsugi. Kintsugi is a form of repairing broken or shattered pottery, where instead of gluing the fragments of a broken bowl or teacup back together to its perfect original form, the Japanese craftsman would actually illuminate the fractures with a golden glue in this act that's called kintsugi, literally golden joinery, kintsugi. And I've been thinking about how kintsugi is such a powerful metaphor for healing. Of course, we know that our bones are the strongest at the point of the fracture, and that our scars tell the story. But kintsugi is also a call to evolution. It's a call to change. It's a call to understand that we must remake this broken, shattered bowl of our society. We must make something new from the fragments of our world, especially as we break in to this new awareness, this re-entry that all of us are in, of a world post-COVID. What does it mean to care for the people who we are quick to call the most broken? The communities that are served by Inner City Law Center, the audiences that I get to play for through my organization, Street Symphony, are people that we're often quick to call broken. But these are also individuals who live in the golden glue of being in relationship with each other, who depend on an entire ecosystem of supporters like us and organizations like the Inner City Law Center and all the amazing advocacy organizations working in Skid Row. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this meditation on brokenness. And may we make a new, whole, healed, courageous, connected world together.
Thank you, VJ. Thank you for that beautiful introduction and for kicking off our program again this year. Thank you for your beautiful music, for your inspiring words. And thank you to all of you who are joining us here today. Thank you all for joining with Inner City Law Center as we together, in VJ's words, try to build a new, whole, healed, courageous, connected world. We have an exciting program for you here today. Some of you will remember that last year I came to you from my home and unexpectedly was on my phone's hotspot. Today, I'm back in Inner City Law Center's offices, hopefully with a more reliable internet connection. In addition to hearing about our fabulous honorees, we have a lot of people to thank today. But before I get to that, I want to start where everything always starts with Inner City Law Center, and that is with our clients. We have a number of our clients with us here today, and to you, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your resiliency and your perseverance that are inspirations to us all. You are a joy to work with. It's an honor to serve you. It's an honor to partner with you. It's an honor to represent you. So with no further ado, let's hear directly from one of Inner City Law Center's recent clients.
I joined the Army in the end of 1980. I was 17 years old, so I thought it would be a great way to see the world. I had heard it was a great way to earn money for college. As a woman, I would say that we were in a different reality, definitely out of our comfort zone, and we weren't welcome. A specific event that happened was basically going to a doctor who was a captain, so he obviously outranked me for medical care for a knee injury that happened when I was in basic training. And from that appointment, it turned into him asking me out. I had no idea. I had PTSD until I was homeless and completely overwhelmed, and I went to the VA for help. I didn't get any results until I reached out to Abby.
The VA benefit system is a large bureaucratic machine that is complicated and difficult to navigate in the best of times. And the problem is so pervasive that we actually, at Inner City Law Center, have a whole team of 11 people who are fully dedicated to seeking benefits for veterans experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles.
Abby made me realize that there was treatment in the Army that was not okay. And one day she told me, she said, "I'll fight for you," and I really felt like she meant it.
I shouldn't have this job. The VA should be doing its job. It was built to help veterans, and it's not doing that. And that means that I and my 10 colleagues on my team all have to be doing this work because the system is failing people who were willing to sacrifice their lives in order to protect the rest of us. And then they come home with nothing.
I feel like Abby really saved my life, considering I was homeless and living off of a little over $200 a month. And now I've got a nice apartment, I have a bed, I sleep. Those are the basic things in life you need to be happy and to start your life over. This was the best outcome I could ever dream of.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer, for sharing your story with us. When we first met Ms. Spencer, she was living in a van. As you just saw in the video, she now has her own apartment. When you support Inner City Law Center, this is the work that you make possible. 40 years ago, Inner City Law Center began in Skid Row at what we fondly call the Hippie Kitchen. And I'm pleased to share that thanks to the generosity of Lexus and Nexus, we will be donating 5 meals for each attendee today's event to the Hippie Kitchen. So we already have over 500 people on the line, and more people are joining every minute. So that's at least 2,500 meals for people in our Skid Row neighborhood. Now, we've grown a lot at Inner City Law Center over the last 40 years, thanks to your generous support. Today, we have over 100 staff and over 50 full-time attorneys. Most of the work that we do fits into one of two categories. Either we help people directly with a housing issue, because they're facing eviction and in danger of losing their home, or they're dealing with a slumlord who won't repair the building as they're supposed to, or we help somebody who's trying to access benefits that will enable them to pay the rent. All of this work is only possible because of your support. And I want to in particular thank the sponsors of today's event. If you scroll down below this video, you will see Latham and all the other sponsors lined up on your Brand Live webpage. So thank you all for your support of our work. I'm very pleased to share that we have already raised over $690,000 from this event here today to support the work of Inner City Law Center. And if we were meeting in a ballroom in person, as we will hopefully do next year, we would pause here for some applause. But we would not pause for long, because we're not yet done. We're never done at Inner City Law Center. There's always more work to be done, and we need your help. Today, we are going to raise another $40,000. For those of you who have done this before, you know how it works. Next to the video, there's a Donate Now button, and you can click on that and make an additional contribution. Or you can text your pledge. And here's the details on how to do that. You text to 41444. So that's the number you send the text to. And the message you put in the text is ICLC Awards, all one word, space, the dollar amount, whatever your best gift is. It might be $50, might be $500, might be $5,000, whatever you're able to give. A space, your name, and then if you want, a space and a message. This is where some people made fun of the fact that I needed a haircut last year, but whatever you want to say is great and much appreciated. Now, to help inspire us to meet our text to give goal, we have 2 fabulous matching gifts. Our board of directors has generously agreed to match the first $15,000 that we raised today, and one of our board members, Var Fox, and his family have agreed to match the next $25,000 that we raised today. So if we can raise that $40,000, Inner City Law Center will actually receive $80,000 to support our work. So please, don't be shy, pull out your phones, click on that link, contribute what you can. Next up, we're going to hear from another of Inner City Law Center's clients, Mr. Johnson.
During the pandemic, my mom found out she had breast cancer and she had her breasts removed. Me and her are just alike. You know, we're introverts. We kind of stay to ourselves. We watch the same TV. So it's like, she's literally like my best friend. I had a situation with the property manager. For some reason, I always felt like he had like an issue or a problem with me. By being like kind of the only African Americans in the building, like, it was kind of like, my dad didn't sit well with my mom. So we have tried to contact the owners of the property for over months and months. No response.
Mr. Johnson and his mother allegedly received documents that told them to appear in court at a certain time, but they did not actually receive the documents. So they did not know that they were supposed to appear in court. Because they didn't appear in court, the court entered a default judgment against them.
Then, knock on the door, the sheriffs come by. There's a lockout. Are you guys ready to go? And I told them, no, I'm not. I have nowhere for my mother to go. And I let them know, I let her come in the house, let her see her, that, you know, she's not mobile, you know, she's, you know, disabled, you know, she's elderly, like, you know, I don't really know where to go from here.
The first time we heard about Greg's case was essentially a referral that came through. It was an emergent referral because there was already a sheriff's lockout. We used the CDC eviction moratorium, citing that there were these health issues that Mrs. Johnson had that essentially put her right in the middle of that protected class, that she should not be evicted during this crazy coronavirus pandemic. People deserve to live someplace safe and secure. The Johnsons are fantastic. Greg is a great, funny, kind guy, and that makes my job easier and more pleasant on a daily basis, but that doesn't mean that someone who is not those things doesn't also deserve a wonderful, safe space to call their own.
To know that there's somebody out there that can give you a voice and just have your back and just give you some transparency on what you can do is just a blessing.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for sharing your story with us. I have 2 children. If heaven forbid either of them were ever to become homeless, I would want everyone to do everything you possibly could to help them. It would not matter to me how they had ended up on the streets, whose fault it is, what had happened. I would want you to help them if you possibly could. And yet we will have over 66,000 people homeless in Los Angeles County tonight. Every one of them is someone's son or someone's daughter. We must do more to help them move off the streets. We must do more to end the horror that exists on our streets right now. Your support of Inner City Law Center enabled us to serve over 4,600 people last year. Your support of Inner City Law Center enables us to ask for each of our clients, what is the pathway to long-term, stable, safe, affordable housing? Your support of Inner City Law Center literally enables the staff to end homelessness or prevent homelessness for our clients every day. Because of your support, Last year, Inner City Law Center helped hundreds of families like the Johnsons who were facing eviction, help them to stay in their homes. We also recovered over $3 million in rental subsidies and relocation benefits for tenants. Your support helped us keep hundreds of families who are living in slum housing in homes and force the slumlords to fix up the buildings and to pay over $6 million in the last year to our clients. Your support enabled our staff to help people who were living with disabilities on the streets access benefits that enable them to afford to pay for housing. Last year, we recovered over $9 million for homeless veterans. Collectively, because of your support, we collected over $20 million for Inner City Law Center's clients. Now, despite all of this fabulous work, and we are very grateful for your support, and it is a joy to do this work, it is, I think, a hard truth and a reality that we are not going to solve the homelessness and housing crises that we face in our city unless we reckon and do a much more direct job at tackling the racial dimensions of poverty and homelessness in Los Angeles and throughout our country. 87% of Inner City Law Center's clients are people of color. When we fight for housing justice, we fight for racial justice. That's why I'm particularly proud that this year's humanitarian awardee from Inner City Law Center is LASA's ad hoc committee on Black people experiencing homelessness, and the chair and vice chair of this committee, Jacqueline Waggoner and Kelli Bernard.
When we think about homelessness in African Americans, we immediately think about disproportionality. What are the contributing factors? Well, one in particular stands out: racism, historic, systemic, institutional, structural racism.
Initially, when I came here almost 9 years ago, I was literally traumatized. I'd never seen anything like Skid Row. It looks like the slave motherships capsized right here in these concrete jungle.
There's a huge disparity in the number of Black people experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles County. While Black people make up 8% of the population, they make up roughly 34% of those experiencing homelessness.
As we were convening the ad hoc committee, one of the things that we were very aware of was that if we were going to have a report that could actually be helpful and useful going forward, that it had to be inclusive.
We went across Los Angeles County doing listening sessions, hearing firsthand from people who have experienced homelessness, people from the community, and people that just really wanted to give input on what was working within the system, what wasn't working, and how it could better serve the communities.
On a very personal level, it inspired me to begin talking about my own intersectionality as a Black woman, as a CEO of a nonprofit organization that has been fighting homelessness and poverty for over 40 years. I really needed to begin to speak about my own racial trauma. And I also admitted during this process that my daughters and I had a time of being unhoused where we lived in a motel. And like many of the people that we serve, they have PhDs, they're MDs, they have degrees, they have successful lives, and then something bad happens and it affects the entire family, and some people don't make it back.
Well, this committee in and of itself was very important, and it provided a forum to do what hadn't been done before in Los Angeles, and for that matter in the nation. It was quite surprising to most of us that we could not find a document comparable to the report that was ultimately produced. And so what we did in Los Angeles has to be viewed as groundbreaking.
The report called out 67 recommendations, but there were 4 key components that were called out: employment, mass incarceration, housing discrimination, and child welfare. Those things need deep research and investigation on why some of those things are creating pathways for people to fall into homelessness.
We can no longer talk about equality and empowerment while continuing to enforce inequities.
I think one of the important takeaways for me was that it was not going to be enough to simply build more housing. But if we were going to be serious about this and committed to it, we had to go upstream. We had to identify where the failures were happening and address those and reallocate resources to do that.
So I feel like I'm forever changed by my experience as a participant on the ad hoc committee for Black people experiencing homelessness, and particularly working with Commissioner Bernard and Commissioner Waggoner. I mean, they were just so willing to allow the process to unfold. Their leadership was phenomenal, and I learned so much from them.
Jacqueline had a way of recognizing who was not being part of the conversations or who may have had things to say that they had not shared in the group, and having those kind of offline conversations to make sure all of the voices was being heard.
It's been an honor and a privilege to work side by side with Commissioner Bernard. Being two Black women, having the opportunity to go into the community and listen firsthand about what people that look like me are experiencing and trying to be housed was a powerful lesson.
And the report, I think, provides a roadmap about how you could take a very complicated problem like homelessness and look at it through a racial equity lens, and then come up with recommendations that are informed through that lens.
We actually woke up a conversation that we've known about for a really long time. It was level setting for the sector to think about the importance of racial equity in strategies and practices. And what I'm most proud of is that a system owned its responsibility to self-reflect on what it could do to improve that. And I'm proud that other jurisdictions across the country are asking questions about it, and they want to do the same, because that's really where change begins.
I am honored and humbled to accept this award from the Inner City Law Center, and I do it on behalf of the entire ad hoc committee. It's not about me or about Jacqueline or even LASA, but it was really about creating a space to allow this kind of conversation to happen. And so I'm proud of that. I'm proud that the Inner City Law Center is recognizing the importance of that conversation and the work that we all did as a committee.
I'm really happy to accept the award on behalf of my fellow ad hoc committee members. My parents always told me that you know you're doing a good job when your peers acknowledge your work. So this, to me, is close to my heart. So thank you so much for the honor to be here today.
Thank you, Jacqueline, Kelli, and all the members of LASA's ad hoc committee. Thank you for this fabulous work that you've done and for serving as a touchstone for so many of us working to end homelessness in Los Angeles. For those of you who are interested in reading the ad hoc committee's report, it's available via link both on our website and on the event page today. Now, next up, we have a special guest with us, direct from San Antonio, Texas. I'm pleased to present to you the former head of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Secretary Julian Castro.
Hey y'all, good afternoon and hello from Texas. It's good to be with you this afternoon to express my gratitude for the excellent work that the Inner City Law Center is doing each and every day to seek to end homelessness in the Los Angeles area and provide a model for the rest of the country. We've just been through 15 months of the coronavirus pandemic, 15 months unlike any that we've ever seen in our lives. And one of the points that it's truly driven home is the need to focus on our most vulnerable. That includes people every day who live on the streets, who live unsheltered, who double up in friends' apartments or live in their car. It affects people of every different background, different ages, and all over the country. In the Los Angeles area, Inner City Law Center is harnessing the talent of so many people and resources to help ensure that we get closer to that goal of ending homelessness. I believe that we should treat housing as a human right, and that we should work hard to make sure that every single person, no matter who they are, has permanent housing. And I know that you believe that too. I want to thank you for doing your part now when your work is needed more than ever before. I also want to say felicidades, congratulations to each of the honorees for their spectacular work to address the needs of the most vulnerable. In the years to come, I know that because of efforts like Inner Cities and of the honorees today, that we can reach that goal and make sure that everybody has a place to call home. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Secretary Castro, for joining us today. I want to take just a moment to put the text to give slide back up, and also to just call out that we are at $26,345, which is remarkable, but not yet to our $40,000 goal. So please continue to contribute if you are able to. If we were in person, this is where I would make a joke about locking the doors and not letting you out until after we had hit our goal. I might also pause and provide some awkward silences to encourage you to pick up your phone or to make a contribution. I'm not going to do any of that today. I'm just going to count on you to keep moving us towards our goal. And instead, I'm going to say a few words about our fabulous board of directors. The 36 individuals who serve on our board of directors are truly remarkable. They set the strategic direction for our organization, and they ensure that we have the resources to carry out our mission. In particular, I want to call out our board officers, Janet, Elliot, Kenneth, and Alejandra, for their fabulous leadership. I want to call out the board members who served on the event committee this year to help us put together and make this event a success, and in particular, the co-chairs of that committee, Beth and Pam. And I also want to call out 4 long-serving board members, 4 board members who collectively, together, have served almost 100 years on Inner City Law Center's board. These 4 individuals have each served as our board president. They have each done extensive, numerous pro bono cases with us, and they have really helped to shape and continue to help to shape who we are as an organization. So we have Dan Woods, who has served on our board for 22 years and continues to serve. We have Tom Freiberg, who has served on our board for 24 years and continues to serve. We have Dorothy Wolpert, who has served on our board for 25 years and continues to serve. And each of these pictures, by the way, is from a luncheon in the past when we could actually gather in person. And then last but not least, we have Mike Kobo, who just stepped down from the board earlier this year after 26 years of service to Inner City Law Center. So thank you for all that each of you do for Inner City Law Center and that you continue to do. All of these folks, including Mike, are just so involved as we move forward, which is wonderful. Everything we do at Inner City Law Center, nothing we do at Inner City Law Center is by ourselves. Everything that we do is in collaboration and partnership with others. We work very closely with other legal services organizations, with nonprofit homeless service providers, with government agencies, with pro bono volunteers. We rely on help from lots of different circles and partnerships with lots of different folks. Our volunteers in particular, last year we had over 575 volunteers who donated over 15,000 hours to serve Inner City Law Center clients. Really an astounding leveraging of what our staff does every day. Each year, we have the pleasure of honoring one of our volunteers with our KRAUSE Award. Now, Catherine was a board member of Inner City Law Center. She was a legal aid attorney here in Los Angeles and a leader in the legal aid community. This year, we're proud to honor 3 of our pro bono volunteers with the KRAUSE Award. Each of these lawyers served as counsel, pro bono counsel, in the Hartford slum housing case: Mike Alder, Dan Woods, and James Judge.
En el edificio de Harvard las condiciones eran bien peligrosas. Cuando nos cortaron la luz, el agua por 2 meses, era bien incómodo todos los 2 meses. Me tenía que alumbrar yo con candelas, porque cuando íbamos al baño, como no echaba agua a la bomba, y como eran muchos inquilinos, habían veces que encontraba bien sucio el baño yo de orín y del pupú. Eso era horrible vivir así.
So the Hartford case is actually not an uncommon situation where you have a landlord who's basically a slumlord, having people that don't have very many options have to live in squalor conditions.
The landlord had converted a duplex into 12 separate units that he rented to them. It had dry rot, mold, filth, bed bugs, rats, and all of the other things that made it uninhabitable. One of the things that struck me the most was that from time to time the water to the building would be unavailable. And so the landlord had to have the tenants buy buckets of water from his daughter for $5 each.
Well, I have to say, when I looked at it, I found it quite revolting.
Inner City Law Center got involved in the case in March of 2016 when a partner organization informed us that there was a building in Los Angeles and tenants that needed help.
You know, I got involved when the Inner City Law Center put out a request for pro bono help. And I've been a proponent of trying these cases because the trials are the hammer that helps the Inner City Law Center make real differences in the settlement of cases, which happens 99% of the time.
No fue en grupo. Decidimos todos los inquilinos unirnos y buscar ayuda para no vivir en esas condiciones como estábamos, pues.
He actually admitted at some point on the stand that he falsified documents with the Department of Health and lied to the Department of Health, which, of course, then the case was over.
The landlord appealed, and I was tasked with defending the verdict on appeal. The result of the case was a published decision in favor of all of our clients, affirming the verdict that Mike had obtained for their emotional distress damages and punitive damages as well. I asked the Court of Appeal to publish the decision for 2 reasons. I wanted them to send a message to slumlords that they can't get away with the kind of behavior the slumlord in this case had engaged in. I also wanted the Court of Appeal to publish it so that tenants like our clients would know that the court systems in California were available to them to get the relief they deserved and to enforce their rights.
I became involved in this case when it was time to collect the money that had been obtained after the great work of the attorneys that preceded me. What the landlord did to try to avoid the judgment was he transferred his home and another piece of real property into the names of his family. And by doing that, he opened himself up to a lawsuit to unravel the fraudulent transfer. His second move was to file a Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Me siento bien ahí a donde yo vivo. Para mí ha sido una experiencia bien bonita, que soy merecedora de vivir así, a no como viví ahí en la Oxford.
Accountability is everything. And by suing everyone who was potentially accountable and taking them to court makes other people that the Inner City Law Center deals with worry about them being brought to court, and then they comply.
I come from a generation of lawyers where pro bono work is just something that you do.
Que les agradezco mucho por vernos asistido a todas las personas que vivimos allí que para mí fue una gran ayuda, que les agradezco por todo el proceso que se llevó, que hicieron un buen trabajo y que siempre les voy a agradecer por todo lo que a mí me brindaron.
If it hadn't been for Inner City Law Center and the pro bono partners who worked with it on this case, the landlord or slumlord in this case would have continued to take advantage of these tenants. It's the work of Inner City Law Center to keep as many tenants as possible housed so they don't fall into homelessness.
Thank you. Congratulations, Dan and James, as well. It's been terrific to work together as a team. And while it's wonderful to be recognized, I hope what this does is that everybody watching this will take their time and step up, because it does take everybody to contribute, and you can make a significant difference.
I'm humbled by receiving this award. I'm honored to receive this award, and I would like to dedicate it to the people who together made everything happen.
Well, I'm really excited to receive the award this year, along with my colleagues, Mike and James. This is the kind of a case that Inner City has always done, is still doing, and will always do.
Thank you, Mike, Dan, and James, for your dedication to our clients. We're currently at a little over $33,000 towards our goal, so we are getting closer, so please keep those contributions coming. Thank you to all of you who have already given, or those of you who are about to give. This has been a challenging year for our clients and also for many of our staff. And I want to take just a moment to say a few words to our staff who are on with us. If we were in person, I'd ask you to stand so everybody could give you a round of applause. We don't have that opportunity here. But I do want to express my appreciation for all that you have done in stepping up in this challenging year. Your perseverance, your grace in difficult circumstances, and your unwavering dedication to our clients are an inspiration for me and for so many. You are the reason that this event is as successful as it is. It is your work that inspires the folks who show up for this event, who contribute. So thank you for all that you do. It is a joy and an honor to work with you. I am proud of what we've accomplished in this last year. I hope you are as well. And I look forward to what we will accomplish in the years to come. With that, let us hear from another of our clients about the miracles that Inner City Law Center staff perform every day.
What the landlord did is they first gave us a verbal that, you know, they were going to do work on the building. And then they gave us a notice saying that the work on the building was longer than 30 days.
So we're seeing a lot of evictions concentrated in areas of rapid gentrification. These are neighborhoods where 20 years ago, the landlord says, I'm going to rent this place out for $500 a month to a low-income Latino family or African-American family, and suddenly they're saying now, well, if I can get this family out, I can jack up the rent to $3,000 a month.
I was injured when I was in the Navy. I was also injured when I worked for the city of Los Angeles. And in doing so, I have to go to so many doctor's appointments. And they just happened to have one the same day the court was. And so I went to the doctor, and when I came back, I went downstairs and got a paper to go in and see the judge. And when I told him, he said it didn't make no difference, that he didn't want to hear what I had to say in so many words. Just give him the paper, and he said, that's it, you got 5 days.
With Mr. Grimes representing himself, the court said there are no legal arguments here, and so we are not going to set aside the vacate order. You're still going to be locked out. I wouldn't have been able to look at this and say, you're being thrown out anyway. It's a heartbreaking document, but it also illustrates that when tenant, self-represented, throws themselves on the mercy of the court, says, I am disabled, I am elderly, I have no place to go, I didn't understand what was going on, please help me. The court says no.
I had written to other law firms and they turned me down until I got to KAMI. And when I got to them, he took my case. All during that time, I was under tremendous stress. Can you imagine? You go to work and come home and a lock is on your door, you can't get in. You're not given the opportunity to take your furniture out of your house. Nothing. Get out or I'll arrest you. He stopped all of that. I'm relieved. I am truly relieved. And so what happens from here, yeah, it matters. But it doesn't matter as much as KAMI does. Because without him, I wouldn't be talking to you. I may be in a ditch somewhere downtown, laying on the curb on the sidewalk. All my dreams and visions gone because I had no place to stay. He made a place for me to stay.
Thank you, Mr. Grimes, for sharing your story with us. So many people come together to make the miracles that happen at Inner City Law Center possible, including all of you who are joining us here today. Whether you participate in our work as a board member, a staff member, a partner at another nonprofit organization, a volunteer, a donor, by working with Inner City Law Center, you are changing individual lives, and we thank you for it. To say thank you for all that you do, we have a brief message from Inner City Law Center staff.
Your support connects us to volunteers and pro bono lawyers that provide tenants facing evictions and dealing with landlord harassment with education about their rights and legal counsel.
Your generous support goes towards providing full-scale COVID vaccination and pet resource clinics at our Skid Row office. On behalf of everyone at Inner City Law Center, our partners, our unhoused neighbors, and our four-legged friends, thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much for your support. It has really allowed us to hire passionate attorneys and staff who are dedicated to housing justice. We really appreciate it. Thank you again.
Thank you to our funders. With your assistance and support, we not only work on securing access to benefit programs on an individual basis for our clients with disabilities, but we are able to address systemic problematic issues and advocate for positive change.
With your support, we can continue to provide free legal counseling to tenants at virtual clinics.
Thank you for your generosity. Your money helps veterans and their families live with dignity.
Thank you for joining the battle. With your help, Inner City Law Center will continue to advocate for more tenant rights and fight against slum housing.
Because of your generosity, we will continue to provide legal services to vulnerable populations to make sure that they are safely housed during the pandemic. Thank you.
So for those of you following online, you'll see that we hit our text to give goal. Thank you to Sharon Oxborough for giving us the push to put us over. We are at $46,000. So thank you very much. And that means that this event will raise over $775,000 for Inner City Law Center's work. So thank you very much. I in particular want to give a shout out and a thank you to the team that put together the logistics of today's event and made everything happen. That's Kim, Randy, Elizabeth, and Courtney. Enormous amount of work, as you know, goes into these sorts of events, and they did a fabulous job, so thank you. I know nothing would make that team of folks happier than to know that you were inspired by what you saw today and that you are sharing it with others. So by tonight, this program will be up on the website. And I really would love, and they would love, for you to share this with anybody who you might think would want to learn about Inner City Law Center, might want to support Inner City Law Center or know more about our work. So please post it on social media, send it out by email, however you circulate materials to your circles, your friends, your family, your colleagues. I also want to thank you all for joining us today. I want to thank you for supporting the work of Inner City Law Center. I want to thank you for supporting the fight for housing, the fight for racial justice, the fight for justice more generally. And I want to thank you for joining with Inner City Law Center to build the new, whole, healed, courageous and connected world that we heard about from VJ at the outset of this program. Thank you.